everyone, and welcome to the next episode of Esquire's Man at His Best podcast. So this is our weekly look at some of the biggest things that have happened this week in the world of men's lifestyle, including updates from our very own website and our magazine. So my name is Tom, and I'm the digital director of Esquire Middle East, and as per usual, I'm joined by a very special guest. Once a mild-mannered schoolboy growing up in Queens, New York, he wowed both his science professor and his Auntie May with technological and scientific knowledge. However, after a school trip to Oscorp's scientific laboratories, he had a rather weird reaction to a bug bite, and suddenly could do anything a spider can. However, in the world that we live in, people who act like spiders are generally shunned, and so, having been excommunicated from his home in New York, he has moved to Dubai, where he languishes as the editor-in-chief of Esquire Middle East.
The idea of languaging as the editor. I suppose that works in terms of editing. Biggest thing I miss from New York, Tom? My old neighbor, sweet Mary Jane.
Fair.
Mary Jane Watson. I'll never forget her and the impact she had on my life, or she would have had on my life should I have stayed in New York. But it's good to be here on the Esquire Man at His Best podcast. Podcast number, I'm going to go with 8.
This is podcast number 8.
Fine. I don't know why we number them, but let's go with number 8 anyway.
So just to kind of bring everyone kind of a recap, we kind of changed the podcast a little bit, and we took it out of the studio, and now we're back in the studio.
Yeah, I kind of liked it out the studio. I got lunch.
Let us know if you like it in the studio or out the studio, in the comments if you're on YouTube or on SoundCloud. And also, it's a little bit more newsy based, a little bit less waffle.
No, I can't promise that. I bring the waffle and lunch.
Or the pancakes. Foreshadowing.
Fair.
And now we're moving to the news. Let's go directly into the news.
All right. Tell you what interesting tidbit of story do you have for me today?
Well, the thing that has kind of caused the internet to go a little bit wild.
The internet has gone wild. Has it gone wild like the girls go wild, or?
I guess.
Okay.
I mean, both now. Boys can go wild too in this day and age.
Fair.
So, the International House of Pancakes.
Good segue.
Has changed its name.
It's no longer international.
No, it's it used to be IHOP, and
Yep.
they've changed its name to IHOB.
IHOB?
IHOB.
Why? What's the B?
Well, so they did this a few days ago, and there was a lot of speculation of what it was going to be. So what do you think? What do you think the B stands for?
I'm going to go with breakfast, Tom. Am I right?
Well, a few people guessed breakfast. However, you heard it here not first, I imagine, unless you are hearing it first, in which case you heard it here first. The brand, which actually has 3 locations in Dubai...
I've been to 2 of them.
Is called the International House of Burgers.
International Burgers?
Yeah, they
unexpected.
Yeah, breakfast was everyone thought it was breakfast, but no. The IHOP is now IHOB, and the B stands for burgers.
So no more pancakes?
They serve brand cake. They serve everything that they used to serve.
Did you just say brand cakes?
Brand cakes.
International House of Brand Cakes, Tom.
I mean, better than burgers.
It doesn't make any sense.
So essentially, they've added 7 new steak-based burgers to their menu.
International House of Steak Burgers.
Apparently, their new signature is the Big Brunch Burger.
So this is like a complete brand, rejig in total.
Yeah.
Okay.
As in, it is
Were
now,
the pancakes not selling well?
I don't know. It's now a burger place. The whole point of
Is this a global burger place? So now that globally this has happened.
Well, in the U.S., the company lives in the U.S.
Yes.
So they've changed the name in the U.S. One would imagine that the licensee partners. So, for example, there's 3 locations out here. One would guess that they could either choose to participate, or they could probably keep it as IHOP.
Is this because after establishing themselves as the international home of the pancake, they thought they would tap into that sweet, untapped, potentially lucrative market of hamburgers or beef burgers that no one else has ownership of?
I guess. I mean, look at the rise of people like Shake Shack and Five Guys, like the gourmet dirty burger is what I'm gonna call that genre of food. It's doing quite well.
Like the street food burger.
But again, I mean,
But those companies started booming about, I don't know, 8 to 10 years ago. And so they're just...
The whole thing about IHOP is it's open 24 hours. Like in the US, that's the whole thing. So no matter what, like you go out 4 in the morning, you want some food.
Yeah, get some pancakes.
You can go to IHOP.
Yeah, burger.
Now they always sold other things, but now they've just decided to go completely rebrand.
To be honest, well, I don't know if that works here in Dubai because the mall-based ones will close when the malls close. But I used to go there and have the chili cheese, the cheese steak. What is that called? The Philly steak sandwich. That's what I used to have, rather than the pancakes. It was delicious.
Chocolate pancakes.
You know what I always love about IHOP? The Gauntlet of Gratitude. Have you seen that?
I don't know what this is.
It's when you leave and then just
a terrible Game of Thrones episode.
It's when you leave, just as you leave, just everyone, all the staff will just say thank you very much for coming.
That's not a thing.
Every time I go to IHOP, it's just like there's always about 8 people that just say thank you for coming and thank me for being there. And I like it. It's very kind. It's good customer service. It's top customer service.
You mean talking about the IHOP here?
Yeah. The IHOP in Mall of the Emirates. The Gauntlet of Gratitude, I'm calling it.
Well, I've not been it, but if they
You've
do
heard
change,
that here first.
If they do change, so the main burger is the big brunch burger.
Okay.
Which comes with hickory smoked veal bacon,
All right.
crispy potatoes, and a fried egg with beef in a burger.
Do they still do pancakes?
Yeah, I think they still do pancakes.
Okay, well, I'll just get a stack of those then.
Yeah, I think I'll stick with the pancakes.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, while you're at Pancakes, Tom, my first news story for you, and for you listening and watching, by the way. Hello, I'm waving at the YouTube camera if you're watching that on the internets. Porsche.
I've heard of them.
They have released the name of finally released the confirmed name of their new electric car. The Tesla Killer. That's not the name, but that's what it'll be,
That would be a solid name.
It's a solid name. What they've gone for is a less solid name.
Okay.
It is called the Taycan. And that isn't someone struggling to pronounce Liam Neeson's seminal B movie.
The Taycan.
But Taycan. Yeah, Porsche Taycan.
That is a
Taycan. It's basically now they've
like toucan.
Like Cayenne? But I do have here that it actually, for those curious, the Taycan means lively young horse in the Eurasian tongue.
Eurasian is not a tongue.
It's not a language, but I don't know what language Taycan it means lively young horse, but it does. My research tells us.
This seems like a dreadful decision on behalf of Porsche.
No, I mean, look. Releasing an all-electric vehicle is not a dreadful decision.
No. All electric is great. But like...
Naming in cars has always been a big issue. And if you're a regular listener to this show, we bring it up quite often.
But like we were making fun of Chinese cars.
We weren't making fun of.
We weren't, because we have a lot of listeners in China actually. So hello everyone in China. But the Cherry... we were making fun of a car called the Cherry. Yeah. The Cherry is a fantastic name compared to the Taycan, spelt not like taken.
Yeah. Also, I think it was the Rolls-Royce SUV, the Cullinan.
I've jumped in.
Even though we may have criticized it a couple of weeks ago, but that is still better than the Taycan. Let me tell you more about the Taycan. Let me win you back around. Basically, Porsche, it's not new that they're releasing an all-electric vehicle. And originally, the kind of working title, it was called Mission E. That's what Porsche kind of had it called as. But this...
Yeah, the Mission E. That was the big...
It's the working title of what the electric car is.
What a good name.
Correct. Mission E. It makes sense.
E stands for electric.
It does. Exciting. Or Mission B for burgers. What are your thoughts?
IHOB.
Yeah. So basically, they announced that it was going to be called officially the Taycan at the 70th anniversary of Porsche, which they had last week in terms of as a company. Currently, there are 2 models that sit in the Mission E portfolio. One is the Mission E Cross Turismo, and the other one is the Mission E Concept, which is more of a traditional sports
But you're
coupe.
saying Mission E, so now these are called the Taycan Turismo.
Well, one of them will be called the Taycan. They haven't said which one yet, but I reckon it'll be the sports car model. And it's kind of slated to begin production next year. This is it. They've announced it. They did some... they've announced it a few years ago. Now they finally announced a name, and then production will start next year. I got some engine numbers if you like numbers. I know how much you like. The production model will basically feature one twin electric motor at the front and rear to deliver a combined 440 kilowatt power to all four wheels. So before-wheel drive.
Is that a lot?
I don't know. It was really tough for me to say. I stumbled over that one a lot, didn't I? But it's basically good enough to see it go 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 3.5 seconds, Tom. So it's pretty damn good. And the range that's also an important thing with these electric cars. The range is tipped to be about 500 kilometers.
That is just a rubbish name.
Yeah, but Porsche, man. The Cayenne's not a good name. Look how that sells, man. That can't stop selling, especially here.
The Cayenne, what are the other ones?
Well, they have the 911 series.
Yeah, but that makes sense.
Yeah, but then they have all the ones that go with the 911. The
Taycan.
Cayman.
Yeah. Are they all named after horses? This would make sense because they do have a prancing horse.
Well, Cayman. Well, as far as I know, the Cayman is some kind of small alligator, but it might be named after us.
Could be the islands. Cayman Islands.
Yeah, but Google it.
Cayman Porsche meaning.
This is going to be fun for our audio listeners.
I don't know. It doesn't say anything.
Fair enough.
But I do know. I've just looked up worst car names in history.
Oh, what have we got?
And Toyota released a car in the 90s called the Estima Lucida G Luxury Joyful Canopy. And that is a better name than the Porsche Taycan.
That's just fantastic. Is that one in the Eurasian tongue?
Well, here's one that could be in the Eurasian tongue. This one is it's made by a Chinese company. It's called the Tanghua Detroit Fish. And that is a better name than the Porsche Taycan.
If you can think of any names worse or better than the Taycan, then please hit us up on social media. We're on Twitter. That's probably the best way, or just leave us a message on Facebook. Contact us, visit our website. That's probably one way. I'm sure there are plenty. What else have you got, Tom?
In the 80s, Nissan released a van called the Homey Superlong.
Yeah, but the Nissan...
Again, that is a better name than the Porsche Taycan.
No, the Superlong tells you what it is, and it's very homey. It's like a lovely van.
The Ford Probe. That's not a good name. And the Mazda Scrum Wagon. Which is still a better name.
Are you sure these are legit?
Yeah. I'm looking at the Scrum Wagon right now. Like I had a friend in university who had a Scrum Wagon.
I'm not going to lie to you. It looks like someone who could be involved in a rugby scrum.
That's what it's for.
Oh, fair enough. Right. Well, that's Porsche news.
I've got some different news. Well, it's not so much news. It's more kind of a retrospective.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of films coming out right now. A lot of big blockbuster films. Obviously, a lot of them breaking records.
Yep.
Infinity War. It's a little-known film, but apparently it's done very well.
Yep. Seriously, what is this like your weekly Avengers/Marvel film news story?
This is actually the opposite.
Oh, very good then.
Because those films do very well.
Yes.
But I've got a list of the worst box office flops.
I'm in.
So, there's no real order to these.
Deuce Bigelow 2 European Vacation.
No, see, that wasn't there. So basically, in order to kind of qualify for being a super flop, a film needs to obviously cost a lot of money to produce, and then when it goes into into cinemas, it makes zero money.
Yes, that would be a big loss.
Yes.
Equating it to being a flop.
So Deuce Bigelow 2 European Vacation probably didn't cost very much to make.
They went to Europe, Tom. Or at least a film set that looked like Europe.
Anyway, the beautiful thing is that with these flops, it's not necessarily to do with, like, Rob Schneider. I don't know. I don't want the haters to get involved, but I don't really rate him as an actor.
Rob Schneider can play anything. Carrot, stapler.
He played a dolphin in that film where he becomes Animal Cop or something. But anyway, a lot of the actors in these films are actually quite good. So guess. Do you have a flop? There's a famous one, but that's not on this list.
So you want me to guess the list?
Pick a flop.
I don't know, of every film of all time?
Name a film that you think cost a lot to make that didn't make any money.
Okay, what about Deuce Bigelow 2 European Vacation?
All right, so coming up at number 5.
Right, this is better. This is a better way of doing it.
The 13th Warrior.
What, with Antonio Banderas?
With Antonio Banderas.
But that was amazing. I remember watching that when I was younger. He learnt how to speak Nordic some kind of Norwegian, Nordic, Scandi language around a fireplace. Just very quickly, over one meal. He became fluent in it.
Because he plays the very, very Spanish man.
Antonio Banderas.
A Muslim wanderer slash adventurer.
Yeah.
And he meets all these sort of people. This film cost $160 million to produce.
Yeah.
And again, it's like 20 years old. So 160 million back then was like 300 million today. It grossed 60 million.
So that's a significant loss then. That's half.
The film did so badly.
60 million though?
The film did so badly that Omar Sharif, who was in it, retired from acting. And then came back a couple years later and was like, I'm back acting. But he retired out of shame.
Shouldn't he have played the Muslim Wanderer?
I don't know, but the funny thing is that the 13th Warrior is actually based on a Michael Crichton book, which Westworld, going amazing, Jurassic Park. These are franchises that are doing incredibly well, but 13th Warrior, no.
Yeah, Mike Crichton's had some flops. Timeline was one of him. Do you ever remember that film? Is that on the list?
No.
Yeah, that's a good segue to your next
Timeline?
one. It's a time travel movie. It was garbage.
Was it as good as Time Cop?
Nothing as good as a Time Cop.
That was a good film.
Nothing as good as
If
Time
we had an
Cop.
inverse of this film, Time Cop should surely be on it.
Yeah. What's number 4?
Number 4 was a film called Stealth.
Was that... Yeah, but that involves some kind of... I don't know. What was that? There's some kind of all-action...
I watched it. Jamie Foxx
yes.
is in it. Josh Lucas is in it. Jessica Biel's in it. And they are all jet pilots. And they're testing a revolutionary artificial intelligent piloted stealth airplane.
I mean, that would never happen.
Which then goes haywire and tries to start World War III. And they got to stop it.
Damn right. Hackers, Tom. Hackers.
Anyway, that cost 135 million to make, and 75 million is what they took.
You know what? Like, they're still taking reasonable amounts.
Yeah,
I mean, we're talking serious bombs, you know. But
they've lost millions.
Yeah, I haven't made $75 million in my life.
No, but it
Mr.
cost
Taxman.
135 million, so they didn't make 75 million.
Fair.
They lost 60.
Fair. I have probably lost 60 million in my lifetime, Mr. Taxman.
R.I.P.D. at number 3.
Nice.
With Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds and
current hot property Ryan Reynolds.
Jeff Bridges, Ryan Reynolds.
So
and
good
Kevin Bacon.
He was in that?
Yeah.
I mean, I say that with surprise because there was no way on earth that I would watch that film.
But you'd think it's got the cast.
Yeah, but that's probably why it cost so much to make.
It cost 130 million.
Yeah.
And it grossed 80 million. Loss of 50.
Yeah, these are mega bombs, huh?
Yeah. Well, we're having got to the mega one.
So what's that number? Is that number 3? What's number 2?
Number 2, The Lone Ranger, which everyone kind of knew was a flop, and like literally they released it and they went like they apologized when they released it.
Fair. That's always a strong marketing technique.
It was like, here it is. It's not as good as we thought, but like it's still
but
a fun
you should
ride.
please go watch it.
Anyway, this kind of made a little bit of money, but like they spent 225 million.
A quarter of $1 billion.
Yeah, almost. And then they made 260 million.
Oh, so they made a profit.
They made a slight profit, but that's not a like. It's like the new Avengers film cost something like 250 million, and they have like 40 of the world's most bankable stars, and they've made like 1.5 billion. That's where if you're spending that amount of money, you kind of want that sort of return.
I don't know, man. Like, I get what you're saying, but that shouldn't be number 2 on the list. It made money. Well, how can that be determined as a flop?
I said there's no particular order.
Oh. Right, I missed that. Apologies.
I'm just listing.
You just listed films that you didn't like.
Although this one, number 1, is absolutely...
Opinions may vary.
Number 1, I think, is widely regarded as not just probably the most famous box office flop, but also one of the worst films ever created.
Was it Deuce Bigelow 2 European Vacation?
It should be. It could be. It is not, although I don't know. No, this film is worse. It is... The Adventures of Pluto Nash.
Of course it is. Wasn't Eddie Murphy in that film?
Which stars Eddie Murphy as a club owner on the moon.
Space Club. I think I've been to Space Club before.
I think it's terrible. I can't remember watching this, but I'm gonna.
You think it's terrible that you can't remember watching it?
I'm gonna go ahead and guess that Eddie Murphy doesn't play just one character. I'm gonna guess he plays multiple.
I mean, why break a habit of a lifetime, huh?
Anyway, this cost 100 million to make, and it grossed $7.1 million. That is a loss of $93 million right out the gate. And it doesn't say it down here, but I'm pretty sure Eddie Murphy retired from acting after this. I don't know what he's been in recently.
There is, I mean, I assume you just got no one to go to the space club. No one went to the club on the moon, basically. It's a hard sell.
No, it's a bit weird.
If I'm going out like with my friends on a Friday, I'm not going to the moon. That's not an option for me, I'm afraid. I've got to get home, time to wake up the kid in the morning.
100 million, they could have built a club on the moon.
Yeah, probably. That's
probably
where the money for this went, if I'm honest.
It would have been more successful.
Yeah, well, fair enough. I, in honor of this, will not watch The Adventures of Pluto Nash this weekend.
No, don't watch that.
No, fair. But I think you should.
I do want to see how many characters Eddie Murphy played.
That's the eternal question.
No, I don't want to. Okay, I'm gonna briefly Google this because this is a new segment of the Esquire podcast called "We Google Some Stuff."
We Google stuff and then and sit in silence while we find the answers. But while you do that, I will stall creatively. No, I actually have a fun bit of news for you. It's World Cup time. So the World Cup is upon us.
The horse racing World Cup?
No, it's a FIFA World Cup Russia 2018, man. And if you want to know all about the World Cup, which is currently going on, and you probably know a lot about it as it is at the moment, our new issue of Esquire Middle East June 2018 is out. I'm holding it up to the camera here, but if you're just listening to this on the podcast version, it's got a picture of Cristiano Ronaldo on the cover. Cristiano Ronaldo, obviously Portuguese captain, current European champion, current Ballon d'Or winner, and UEFA Champions League holder.
He likes football too.
He's really good at football. Loves balls, all the balls, Ballon d'Ors, and all that.
That's. I mean, I'm not gonna.
Hey, don't take that.
Comment on that.
Don't take that the wrong way.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, this is. Don't take it the wrong way. He's a man who can smash a football into a net.
He can also pull off a diamond earring.
He can, literally, 0% of other humans can. He is someone who can, which is all credit to him. That says a lot about the man. Anyway, in this new issue, I say new, in the June issue, we have a Esquire's alternate guide to the World Cup Russia 2018. And in it, part of what we look at is, amongst other things, groups kind of predictions, interviews with people like Maradona, Pele, previous World Cup winners, Christian Carambeau. We look at kind of the tricky games, the games that you have to watch. We've got a quiz in there. We've got a little flowchart for how to decide who to cheer for if you haven't got a team running in it, like I don't with Italy not qualifying. Yeah. But one of the things we do is we pick our favourite kits. Now, the football strips that they'll be wearing. And we've got our favourite 5 and 3 least favourite, which you can read about there. But that spins quite neatly onto my last bit of news, Tom.
Oh, okay. I thought we were going to a visual thing, which doesn't really fit.
No. I am podcast. All about long segues.
Okay.
One of our top kits is the Nigeria kit.
Nigeria, yeah.
I say one of our top kit. It's the best kit, without question. Nike kit. Nike produced it. It is awesome. It's like this kind of eclectic combination of bright green and bold white arrows with black sleeves. It's kind of nuts. It's super retro. It looks super high fashion. And according to the Nigerian FA, Tom, the Nigerian Football Association, it had been pre-ordered before the tournament 3 million times.
3 million. How many people are in Nigeria?
Oh, I don't know, 40 to 60 million. 60
so
million?
who's buying it? Is it Nigerian people?
It's Nigerian fans, but also it's the coolest kit in the World Cup, and stuff like that has serious kind of street style value. It's the coolest kit. It looks super retro. You can wear it. It doesn't look like a sports kit that you have to wear on the football field or in the gym or whatever. You get all the props for wearing it street style wise, and if you're thinking of it, 3 million pre-orders alone, according to the Nigerian Football Federation, this thing retails for about, 250 dirhams?
Yeah, because they're not cheap.
No, the official ones are not.
That's
So yeah, you're looking at like Nike have absolutely struck a gold by now. And again, Nike do a lot of other strips. They do the Brazil kit, they do the England kit, they do the France kit, the Croatia kit, which again is sick. But yeah, the Nigerian one is good. Sorry, I've just seen a sign online. But yeah, the Nigeria one is the one that you want to get this month. It looks dope. I don't think I could pull it off. But if you want any more, check out the issue of Esquire June.
Check out the June issue. This just in, breaking news from 2002. Eddie Murphy apparently only plays one character.
It's Pluto Nash, right?
He plays Pluto Nash.
Ah, see, the title character.
But like Rosario Dawson was in this. Luis Guzman was in this.
Luis Guzman?
Jonathan Cleese was in this.
Jonathan Cleese, you've gone with there. To use his full name. Interesting.
Mr. Cleese.
Mr. Cleese to his kids.
Yeah. What? Randy Quaid, Mr. Quaid.
Cool. I was going to say, one of the kits I particularly like this month in the World Cup, just go back to that, it's the Portugal kit. Just saying. And which segues quite nicely onto our final section, Tom. Am I right?
Yeah, it does.
You're welcome.
Portuguese news. Not really. So this week, I had the privilege of sitting down with a man who was responsible for putting together Sakura Brothers, which is the Portuguese kind of owned brand, which is, I guess, where the segue was going.
It's a Portuguese men's fashion brand.
And who has at one point been their ambassador?
Well, that would be the cover star of June 2018, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah. And they've also, Sakura also are the official clothing partners of the Portuguese team.
It's kind of why I like their kit. But it's kind of their off-field
Well,
kit.
no, they don't make the... Yeah,
Not the kit, yeah. It's Nike.
They wear suits.
Yeah.
Anyway, I sat down with Mr. João Clara Silva, who is the man behind the fragrance, the brand new Sakura Brothers fragrance.
Cool. And you just sat down with him, or?
I sat down with him.
How was this?
Smelled him.
Weird.
Fragrance.
Okay.
Makes fragrances. And we kind of talked about what it was like kind of coming up with that. It was kind of his first main job. So kind of he walked in and they said, make us a fragrance.
Cool. Do you have a clip?
I have the full interview, which we shall play now.
So my name is João Silva, and I'm a project leader for Sakura Brothers.
Perfect. So you guys have just kind of launched a fragrance.
Yes.
So tell me about that, I guess.
So this was one of my first projects in Sakura, which I've joined 4 years ago. So I was challenged with coming up with the first perfume for the brand, and this was one of the first projects that I tackled. So it's a 3-year-old project at the moment, and the idea was to kind of get inspiration from what the Sakura brand is all about and trying to bottle that up into a fragrance and show it to the world, our first creation.
So how do you go about doing that? Because I think, you know, obviously with kind of any brand, it's quite easy to do that from a visual point of view. Like it's even kind of easy to do that from an audio point of view. You can make a song about something. How do you do that when it's something like smell?
That's a good question because we had no idea where to start. We were experts in doing suits, shirts, a lot of things that had to do with textile, but perfume was something that it was totally out of our comfort zone, so to speak. And so we started by drafting a marketing briefing about the brand, about who we are, about who our customers are, where do we draw inspiration in when designing the fit out of a store, for instance. So we brought all those elements together in order to provide a good briefing to one of the best fragrance developers in the world. So that's where we started. We wanted something that would be relatable to the gentleman from Sakura. That's the inspiration for the name of the perfume. And we wanted someone to go and visit our stores, visit the way that we are normally so used to welcoming people, and draw inspiration from that in order to create a new fragrance.
So I guess kind of what does it smell like? What were the results of this kind of project?
So at the end of the day, it resulted in a fragrance that starts off with and I forgot the ingredients now. Right.
Okay.
So the fragrance starts off with a smell of It's not intimidating at all.
Don't worry about it.
Let me think about it.
We cut all this. We cut all this. Or I guess kind of what are some of kind of the base notes? What are some of the main kind of notes that you pick up if you kind of smell this?
So it starts off with mandarin and cardamom. Mm-hmm. Those were the first top notes, the ones that you feel as soon as you spray the perfume in your skin. And then as it evolves, about 30 minutes later, it evolves into all the fragrances associated with flowers that come into the fragrance as well. So the three main flowers that we're using is orange flower, orange blossom actually, geranium and rose as the medium ingredients. So those would be the long-lasting ones as you are experiencing the fragrance. And then at the end of the day, when you really just have to scratch your skin to get that last scent of perfume, you're going to be experiencing the base notes of leather and cinnamon. So through and through, it's a very sweet perfume throughout the day. But the elements, they communicate well with each other beautifully because they start off as fruity ingredients that then have a good connection with the medium notes and then ended up with a very leathery base.
So is this kind of a fragrance for kind of daytime? Is it something for evening, or is it something that can kind of work for both?
We did not want to limit ourselves into defining this fragrance as something for the summer, something for the winter, something for a specific time of the year. We call it's a fragrance for all special occasions because it's our first one. We do not want to limit ourselves into a specific season to wear the fragrance. So we were mostly focused on creating something that you can use whenever you feel like having a special moment with someone.
And so it's available right now, right?
Yes, it's been available since the 2nd of, when was it available? What month are we on?
We're in June, I think.
We're in June? Yeah. It's been available since the beginning of May, okay, here in the UAE and in Portugal, and we'll soon be launching it in Malaysia and Singapore as well.
So it's kind of, it has it a month. Like, how's the response been? I guess kind of you mentioned before, Sakura Brothers isn't necessarily known for having a fragrance. This is the first one ever. So kind of, yeah, has it done well?
The response has been very good, actually. We tested it beforehand, before launching with a lot of customers. We had small tests in Mall of the Emirates and Dubai Mall to see if customers would accept it well. So we reached this fragrance also through a selection process with other fragrances as well. And so far, the response has been very, very good. Mostly Portuguese customers, they were very surprised for us to take the initiative in building a perfume. And here in the Middle East, we know that people can be particularly interested in the fragrance world, so they have been accepting it very well that we started our endeavor into the fragrance business.
I was going to say, this region is quite heavily known for kind of its perfumes, its fragrances. Did that ever play a part in kind of the creation of it? Did you add anything that was kind of particularly Middle Eastern centric? It was
intimidating to go that route. We initially started with thinking of launching 5 fragrances, one of them being oud inspired Middle Eastern. But we understand that we are not experts in perfumery, not yet at least. But going into a more oudish, a more Middle Eastern inspired fragrance would be quite challenging for us because we like to position ourselves as an European brand mostly. So we wanted to go back to the French influences in the ways of creating perfume and take that as a stepping stone into then in the future create more fragrances.
So this is kind of the first of many.
This is the first of many. We are working to launch a women's perfume at the moment. And depending on the response that we're having from customers all over the world, then we start developing other fragrances along the family line that we currently have, which is one.
So I guess kind of why move into the world of kind of lady fragrances? Because when I think of Sakura, I do think of a very kind of masculine, male, suited and booted kind of brand.
Absolutely, it is, and you feel that as soon as you step into one of the stores, it's a very masculine environment. But we're tending to understand that we have a lot of women as customers. Maybe more women buy men clothes than actually men buy men clothes. So we understand that we have an opportunity here to communicate with women when they walk into the Sakura Brothers store, and as well as selling clothes that we already sell, but selling also other types of accessories and things that complement the fashion that we call Sakura Woman at the moment.
So then I guess the fragrance industry is huge, and it kind of seems that there's competition from absolutely everywhere. How have you guys is there anything that you guys have done to try and give yourself a small advantage over kind of in that field? Because it's quite a crowded place.
Look, the advantage that we can create is by the the spaces where we can really control where we sell the fragrance. We decided not to endeavor ourselves into other chains that sell perfume, like Sephora or Boots. We are just focusing on creating the experience of selling perfume through Sakura Brothers stores. That's where our competitive advantage is. We understand that we'll be dealing and would be competing with big players in the market, really high brands that we do not have the strength, and we have to be humble to admit that we do not compete with them. But at the same time, we wanted to create the best experience possible when selling this fragrance. And that's why we decided initially to sell it only through our own boutiques.
Excellent. Well, it's kind of it is quite interesting. It'll be interesting to see in maybe 5 years' time how many kind of fragrances you currently have, whether or not you've kind of pushed it out. I mean, are you guys thinking that far ahead, or?
If I had to paint a picture of what's in my head, in our head, it's to have a family of products that are being sold at a very good price in terms of price-quality ratio, but indeed a very similar way of presenting perfume, almost like private perfumery, in which you have the same kind of packaging, but little variances in color, but definitely a distinct smell for each one of them. So the idea would be to create a family of a range of products in order to offer to customers. Of course, this involves also offering other types of products like aftershave, or even not just a parfum, but a toilette, or even the perfume oil. Those are all possibilities that we are evaluating to see where we should grow.
And so you said this fragrance has taken 3 years in the making.
Yeah.
So I guess it would be safe to assume there are actually some more currently in the works.
Yes, well, we take a lot of the work we've developed with this one fragrance, and we already have other smells in line that we know that are good, that would sell. But we decided to just be a little bit of control freaks when it comes to risk, and launch one and see how we do, and then decide on what would be the next step. But we already have done a lot of work for 2 years in selecting a fragrance that we can then take it and select and see what kind of smell could actually work together with what we have and with the position that the brand wants to have in the future.
Well, I guess kind of last question I have is about, I guess, kind of the length of time something's relevant. So in terms of kind of, fashion, generally you have kind of a 6 months, spring, summer, autumn, winter. And I know that kind of with something like suits, you have a lot longer kind of like time frame of what's in style, what's not in style. But fragrances seems to be a thing that kind of generally you have to create a product that is relevant for as long as possible. You have a signature scent, you can't just change that every year. So again, how do you go about doing that? How do you create a product and somehow have to guarantee that in 2 years' time it will still be something that people enjoy smelling?
You do not have the guarantees of people enjoying a certain scent. What I think it's important is for you to tell a story the right way. So you can still have the same scent throughout many years, like Chanel No. 5 does, and you can still market it and be creative enough for people to want to wear that smell. I think it's important that people and those that wear the perfume feel appreciated by wearing it, not so much about trying to create novelties on new smells to make it relevant. It's all about how we're going to market it, how we're going to communicate it to make it still relevant in years to come.
Well, good. Interesting. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
How very interesting.
Sounds like a delightful man.
It is. It is.
It is.
He was.
This guy.
So that is kind of that's it for us. We do hope you enjoyed the Esquire Man at His Best podcast. Remember, we have new episodes coming out weekly. You can find them on Apple iTunes, SoundCloud, Pocket Casts, and more. And obviously, if you're watching us, you no doubt already know that we put this out on YouTube, as well as our website, which is...
That'd be esquireme.com, Tom.
And also, don't forget to check out our social media accounts for more daily goings-on from Esquire Middle East, which I may remind you is the largest men's luxury lifestyle title in the region, and perhaps even the entire world.
Yeah, we're #1, baby.
Also, Esquire is a much better name for a car than the Porsche Taycan.
I think that is indisputable.
Anyway, that's all from me. I will see you next week.
Cool. Take care. See you later.